So,
Mm.
yeah.
You know what, though? I was about to do my segue, but then we continued. You know, Zack Snyder's Superman. Speaking of Superman, you know who else is directing a Superman movie? Mother freaking James Gunn is going to be directing Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
This comes to us from Vanity Fair. James Gunn, who recently took over as one of the heads of DC Studios, will write and direct the next Superman movie, which will inaugurate a new, more interconnected universe for the superhero brand, Warner Brothers announced on Wednesday. Gunn will formally wrap up his ties to comic book rival Marvel this May with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the conclusion of his Misfit Space Heroes trilogy. Then he will helm the first chapter in a planned reboot of the DC Universe, an entirely new take on the Man of Steel called Superman Legacy. It's not clear who will star as Clark Kent's bulletproof alter ego. No casting has been announced, but the film already has a script penned by Gunn himself and a release date, July 11th, 2025. Superman Legacy tells the story of Superman's journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark Kent of Smallville, Kansas. Warner Bros. Said in a statement, "He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way, guided by human kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned." Man, that sounds incredible. I can only hope that it's going to be incredible when we actually watch it in theaters. They don't have any casting, as it said in the article here. There's no casting currently of Clark Kent.
Too early.
Far too early. But from what I've heard, they're looking for people in their late 20s, early 30s to play the current Superman of this day and age. However, Raul, this always brings me back to the confusion of the DC universe, which is you're going to bring back Aquaman as Jason Momoa's Aquaman, possibly. You're going to bring back
we don't know.
John Cena as Peacemaker. You're going to bring back Waller.
But you know that too.
But you're not going to bring back Henry Cavill as Superman. Yeah. That's very interesting decisions to be made. But totally understandable at the same time when it comes to Henry Cavill, because I heard some drama that Henry Cavill thought that he should be making Iron Man level money with Robert Downey Jr. level. Which it didn't make sense based on the box office of how much money he's bringing to the table. But James Gunn, I want to talk about that really quick.
We haven't talked about James Gunn in DC, have we?
No, never.
Yeah, this is the first time we're ever talking about James Gunn having anything to do with DC, right?
No, never. No, that's not even a thing. I didn't even know who he is until today.
Yeah, James? What? James Gum? What?
James Gum. He blows a lot of gum. That sounds weird out of context. All right. Well,
language.
I don't even know what to cover with that one. But
yeah. Well, okay.
Anyways, James Gunn. I think my first thought was, of course, he's going to direct Superman Legacy. Because the man was writing the script himself. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would write a script like that. If I'm James Gunn and I'm writing Superman Legacy, and then I get really into this script and I get myself hyped over it, I don't want anybody else directing my movie. I want to do it. I'm a professional director. Why would I not want to direct this movie if I'm super hyped for it? Also, point B is the fact that James Gunn, this dude, this is his first movie that's introducing the DC universe that he wants to bring to the table. So who better to introduce it than the man who wants to run the whole company with Peter Safran, It's a no-brainer that he would end up being the one that helms it. It's also a really good calling card. It's him showing up and showing every other director in town, like, this is my project and this is where I'm headed with it. Whoever wants to join my awesome skills of directing, come join me now, because this is what you've got to look forward to. Raul, what about you? What do you think about all this, my guy?
I mean, you said it. This is a no-brainer. I mean, when we talked about back when James Gunn, at the very beginning of the end of January, when he made that announcement about the whole first chapter, well, not the whole first chapter, but, a few of the entries that will be known as Gods and Monsters, the first chapter of the DCU. He talked about Superman, and he said he was writing the script, but he did not say he was directing. And I remember in that episode we talked about there's no way he's writing this movie and not directing it. Right. I mean, it's for whatever reason, he's going to announce, eventually at some point, he's going to announce that he's directing it. That's who James Gunn is. He directs the films that he writes. They're very close to him. When he writes these films, he sees them fully realized in his head, and he wants to be the one to bring that to life. He wants to be attached to it as director. This is his, This is the epitome of being a creative. You're making a film from the inception, from writing it and then directing it. It's fully realized.
Hmm.
So this is how James Gunn operates. He wants to direct the films that he writes, and he always has. So we knew this was gonna.
Yeah.
We knew he was gonna.
Yeah.
This was gonna happen.
And also, Raul, are you confident that James Gunn's Superman movie is going to be good?
I don't know. I mean, James Gunn is a good writer and a good storyteller, and of course, yes, he has a different tone than what we assume this Superman movie is gonna be, but he has worked quite a long time in this industry, and I think he's developed his writing style, and there's definitely a lot of moments in films that he has made that show heart. The Guardians of the Galaxy films, they're comedies primarily, but you do get a lot of heart in these films, and there's a lot of human moments. So, he can write at least on that level, and there's no reason to think that he's got it in him to do something a little bit different. Why not? Let's give the guy a chance.
Plus, also,
especially if it's something he's so invested in.
Exactly. Yeah. If you look at like Guardians of the Galaxy and look at how much love and attention he put into the Guardians, it's a no-brainer that he's going to do the same with Superman because he loves the DC universe just as much as he loves Marvel. The fact that he knows so much about the universe already because he grew up reading the comics. He grew up reading Marvel and DC. Of course, he's gonna try to treat this with so much care. The fact that he named it Legacy is also really impressive, in my opinion. I'm excited about it because to me it tells me he's trying to be very delicate with how he handles this movie. I don't think we're going to see a regular James Gunn movie. I think we're going to see something crazier, which might be better because of the way that he wants to approach this specific movie. Because like what you said, like he usually does kind of crazier, stranger films. But I think he's a freaking prolific director who knows what he's doing. He's had over 30 years of experience. I don't think anybody should be like, oh, he's gonna ruin it. Because I mean, come on, guys, we haven't seen any of his projects yet for DC. Wait till they come out.
I mean, it does sound like, other than the movies leading up to the reboot, which is, well, as we've said multiple times, it's kind of fuzzy, it's kind of murky. Other than that, everything else from Superman Legacy on out looks like it's been very painstakingly, meticulously planned out. And James Gunn has been a part of the planning of it. He's been working on it for a few months now with him and Peter Safran. And there's no doubt he's put a lot of thought into this Superman movie and the whole DCU as a whole, this the first chapter. But definitely, specifically, this Superman movie. A lot of this kind of screams reverence here. And yeah, even Superman Legacy, and just hearing him talk about it and how invested he is, I do get the sense that there's a lot of reverence on his part for Superman. And you can tell, and he's a fan of this stuff. He's a huge fan of DC. He's a fan of Superman. And you can just tell he really, really respects the source material. He respects the character. And it just makes sense that he's the one, because he's heading the DCU now.
Right.
He's essentially the showrunner of the, if we're to compare this to a TV series of the DCU. It's DCU, the TV series, and each episode just happens to be a full-length film. He is essentially the showrunner of all this stuff, so it just makes sense for him to be the one to direct the first movie out the gate and set the table, set the tone.
And which is very different from Marvel, because I know Jon Favreau directed Iron Man, but he wasn't the main guy. He's not Kevin Feige, It's definitely a weird position to be in when you're the Kevin Feige of this production company. And you're also directing the movie. Like, that's kind of awesome. So we've got a lot to look forward for that.